Hello everyone. Welcome back to Cinderella Phenomenon. And I don't know why I keep putting up the 2 because this is not a sequel game. Whatever. So Lucette got a lily chocolate flower. And it's her favorite flower. And Rumpelstiltskin's starting to sort of worm his way into her heart there. So let's see how well he does today. The Marchen is not busy this early in the morning, but everyone is starting on their chores. At least, I assume as much when I see Annice and then Waltz, who is helping her stack things. Then I hear rising voices and realize that not all is calm. At least I don't have to pretend to be something I'm not. You say you're not pretending when you go around flirting with all the female patrons day in and day out. You cannot seriously mean all of that drivel you spout. Karma and Rumple stand on opposite sides of a table, staring each other down. A teacup filled with what looks to be cool tea sits close to Karma, abandoned. Flirting with a lady is not a crime. One day your flirting is going to get you into even more trouble than it already has. I've never had a lady say I mistreated her, not once. Oh, I'm sure many could attest to being more than slightly annoyed. You're only jealous that I can speak to ladies without a disguise, aren't you? Ugh. Karma slams his hand down on the table, shaking it. The tavern grows quiet. Waltz looks over, his eyebrows furrowed with worry. If you so much as make one more comment about my curse, then stop making comments about how I speak. The two continue to glare at each other. It almost looks as if Karma might circle the table and slap him, but the fight freezes as Jurian strides up to the two men. It's too early for the two of you to already be at each other's throats. But he started it. All I did was make a comment. He was the one that picked a fight. There you go again, twisting words. Jurian stomps on the ground. The two men once again turn to look at her. It's my job to break up unnecessary fights, and I will do it. If you two must continue fighting, go do it somewhere else. Like the forest, where you can't disturb anyone. Both men turn away from each other, obviously agitated. Rumple's expression is cloudy as he makes his way over to the bar to begin helping set the tables. Jurian notices me watching. She waves at me with a terse smile on her face. Sorry you had to wake up to that, Princess. I shrug as I make my way over to Mr. Broom. It is just like waking up to two children arguing. Agreed wholeheartedly. Jurian sighs before looking at me thoughtfully. Maybe you could have a word with Rumple later. I have no idea how their argument even started, but maybe you can get to the bottom of it. I am not a babysitter. But I'd heard the two of you were partners? Ugh. Anyway, hopefully this doesn't happen again. Good luck with your work today, Princess. Jurian walks off, vigilant as always. I notice Garland looking at her from the bar, a slight frown on his face. I start working around the tavern, starting first with the cleaning and then with the stacking. Delora makes snide comments about my slowness as I work, and I try my best to ignore her while occasionally throwing her insults back at her. It is as if she has nothing better to do. The door to the tavern opens and Parfait steps inside with a bright smile. She looks more energetic than usual. I wonder if this is because of Rumple's medicine suggestions. Later, I manage to catch Rumple when the two of us are both on break. He looks pleased to see me until I mention Karma. Why were the two of you fighting earlier? What a sad day it is when the princess talks about another man to my face. Just answer me. I was getting ready for the events of today, as always, speaking to the lovely women who filter in and out of the place, when the beast appeared behind me. Even his insults are dramatic. Your flirting is distracting me, he proclaimed. Well, your flirting is annoying. But all I'm doing is complimenting women. I am not impeding anyone's work. I thought that the only reason he was calling me out on such a thing was because he is actually jealous. You should have seen his scowl. And here we go. So I politely told him to mind his business, but he was relentless, and when he continued to insult my demeanor, well, I had to say something back, but I wasn't the one to start the fight. I swear they both really do sound like children. No doubt Karma would be blaming Rumple. Princess, you don't really think I'm so confrontational, do you? I think Karma is far more confrontational than Rumple, but it does not help that Rumple always snaps back at him. The two of you are both at fault. But Princess! In the end, you were still having a childish argument. I think that Rumple might try to protest again, and I'm surprised when he shrugs his shoulders and sighs. Yes, it was childish. Because that man is a child. I roll my eyes. Ah, your irritated scowl chills my heart, Princess. I feel a tinge of excitement. I am leaving now. There really is no point in having this conversation. It is a problem between Karma and Rumple. They aren't children. They can figure this out on their own. Oh, Princess of my heart, why must you depart so early? I ignore Rumple and leave him standing where he is as I return to my shift a little early. Honestly, I would much rather focus on work than Rumple. He can be just as tiring, if not more. Though, after what happened last night, I do not think he is as terrible as I thought. The days go on and Rumple and I speak only briefly during our breaks. Every day I eat another piece of the lily until only one is remaining. One afternoon, just before my break, Rumple approaches me with a mischievous smile on his face. My lovely princess, how are you today? What do you want? Your cold shoulder is enticing. I have one more table to serve. Do not bother me. But princess, I've decided I know exactly how to teach you how to be good. All of your other lessons have been useless so far. Please, just trust me. To put my trust in someone is weakness. I'm going to teach you how to flirt. What? The first step to flirting is eye contact, princess. Wait, but why are you... Rumple points at my customer, a young man sitting right beside the window. The second is to smile. Smile, princess. Because I'm sure you look even more stunning when you do. Then you start a conversation with him. Body language is important. There are certain signals that key men into the fact that a woman is interested in them. It's all about body language. Ha ha! Da 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 da, whatever the tune to Ursula's song is. I think playing with your hair is one. A gentle tap on the shoulder is another. I should have expected Rumple to spout this sort of nonsense. Ugh. Princess, the customer's been waiting for a while now. Is something wrong? I noticed the customer looking at me expectantly. He is just some man, a usual customer that I actually see often. Oh, and Princess, don't forget the compliments. Make them as delicate and illustrative as you can. I move away from Rumple before he can muddle my thoughts any further. Already my feet feel like lead. I find myself staring at the man for far too long. The way he stares back at me, his expression is so unreadable. This suddenly makes me feel more uncomfortable. Do I really have to do what Rumple says? I stop in front of the man and set down his tray, my eyes still on his. I do not have to follow Rumple's advice, but for some reason, my lips quirk. The smile on my lips, though, lasts all of half a second. I get to make this decision? Me? This? So far we've been good. I'll overwrite that save file. So far we've been doing okay. No. It would be funny. It would be funny. It would be really funny. It would be really, really, really funny, but I don't like it. Ma'am? My face is hot, but not with embarrassment. The more I think about Rumple's proposal, the more irritated I become. It's nothing. His eyebrows fall a little bit as I frown at him. I never smile when I serve food, and everyone knows that. Perhaps for a few moments, this man was hopeful. But hopeful for what exactly? Thank you for the food. I cannot believe that Rumple wanted me to flirt with a man I do not even know. Just the thought of it makes me annoyed. I turn to stride away, my feet thumping too heavily on the floor. Oh, Princess, leave me alone. But Princess, we're not done. I do not care. I ignore everyone's gazes as I make my way as quickly as I possibly can up the stairs and to my room. There, I collapse on my bed and lay there with my arms outstretched. That doesn't feel satisfying. I don't like the idea of flirting with people. Like, I think part of the reason why I myself don't like the idea of flirting with people as Lucette is like, so Rumple's advice on how to flirt is pretty much just how I do everything on like a day-to-day basis. If you're interacting with someone, attempt to give some eye contact, like a little, not too much, because too much is aggressive and just also intimidating. And then smile always, smile forever, and people like it when you compliment them. That doesn't necessarily mean you're flirting. Doesn't mean that some men don't take it that way. Especially considering if like playing with your hair is a signal that, oh, I'm flirting, oh my gosh, I want you to be interested in me. I play with my hair as a nervous habit. You have all seen this. Like, if something is happening and I don't have to use my hands, they are usually up here messing with this in some form or fashion. It doesn't mean I'm interested in whatever, like, I am interested in, like, oh, how's the story going? But it doesn't mean, like, I'm interested in the computer as, like, a partner. You know? Does that make sense? Yeah. Just, flirtation is dumb. I'll save in this empty spot, but I do kind of want to go back because I do want to see what happens if we do attempt to flirt. And I feel like that's probably the correct answer. I can feel Rumple smiling at my back. If this were anyone else but him, I would think it was some kind of prank. But considering this is the way Rumple acts all the time, maybe he really is trying to help me. I try to recall how he flirted with his customers before. I could not help but notice you were alone, sir. I'm always alone. My heart is thumping far too loudly in my chest. What kind of things does Rumple usually say? Madam, you are the most beautiful thief I have ever met, for it is you who have stolen my heart and stolen my gaze. Your eyes are more captivating than the stars, my sweet. If I could, I would stare into them forever and lose myself in their majesty. You remind me of a rose with thorns, but the thorns are what makes the rose so alluring. All he does is spout complimentary gibberish. I'll try to do the same. How is it that you would always be alone when you have such lovely eyes? The customer stares at me, baffled. I force myself to continue. Your eyes remind me of the leaves in fall as they flutter beneath the bright gaze of the sun, and... I stop. The words nothing more than a shallow lie. They make me feel strangely hollow. The man is just staring at me, but he looks uncomfortable. Still, I do not think he is anywhere near as uncomfortable as I am. Ma'am? Perhaps you would... My voice trails off. I bite my lips so hard I can taste something metallic. The man's expression is a mixture of awe and perplexity. I immediately turn away from him and walk off. My whole face is hot, and I can feel anger boiling deep down inside of me. Ah, hey, that's the dingling. Oh, Princess, leave me alone.
But, Princess, we're not done.
I do not care. I ignore everyone's gazes as I make my way as quickly as I possibly can up the stairs and to my room. Yeah. I was kind of hoping we would get our good deed then, because he's always going on and on about, oh, if you flirt with people, you get a good deed. And that's kind of why I was kind of wanting that to happen. But anyways, there I collapse on my bed and lay there with my arms outstretched. Why would I have ever even thought of taking Rumple's advice? Hours go by, and eventually I realize that it is time to help Annice with the night chores. Now I am helping her restock some of the bottles that Waltz and Karma brought back from town. I hope Annice does not mention what happened earlier today. I slip out of bed and head down to the main area of the tavern. The room is mostly quiet by the time I go downstairs. Parfait and Delora are talking to each other at a table. Karma passes me by as I walk downstairs. He looks exhausted and oddly frustrated. I make my way over to Annice, who is already putting bottles on the shelves.
Oh, Princess, are you okay now?
I am fine. What did you need me to do?
Pardon me.
Annice explains how restocking works. She shows me the labels on the shelves and explains that the empty spots are where the new bottles go. It is not a hard job and one I can easily do without thinking too hard. For a while, the only sounds that can be heard in the margin are the bottles clinking against each other. Underneath that is the murmuring between Parfait and Delora. I have no idea what they are talking about, but they look serious, so it must be something important.
So, Princess, can I ask what life was like at the palace?
Right. She cannot remember working in the palace before.
I do not mean to pry. I was just trying to make conversation.
I would rather not.
Oh, okay.
Eventually, Parfait and Delora stand from their seats and move to another room to continue their conversation. Annice breaks the silence again.
The tavern is nice when it's quiet like this, isn't it? You can hear the sounds outside if you open a window.
My hands move stiffly, placing bottles on shelves by label. All I want to do is get the work done and then return to my room.
It was like this at the old place that I used to work. I was hired by a rich family to be their maid. Their mansion was a beautiful place. You could hear the crickets if you were by the windows on the bottom floor.
It seems like her memory has been twisted by my curse, so she cannot remember working at the palace. All she remembers is working for a rich family.
It was a nice place, Princess. There was a girl close to my age that had a radiant smile.
A radiant smile? She must be talking about Emmeline.
The head of the mansion is a really kind man, and...
She suddenly grows quiet, a look of confusion coming to her face. She pauses and then shakes her head.
I can't seem to remember everyone that was there, but I'm pretty sure they were all good people. At least, I'd like to think so. I was just a bad maid.
She was. Because of her, Delora's dress was torn.
I was too ashamed to tell one of the mistresses that I couldn't save her doll.
Save her doll? Annice looks down, her smile wistful.
I was fired on my first day because I couldn't save one of the mistress's dolls. I was the one cleaning her shelves that day, and when I went in, I saw a crow had come in through the open window and was pecking at one of the dolls. I shooed it away, but I was too late. The doll had a little rip in its dress, and I was fired for not doing my job properly.
What? So it wasn't Annice who ripped Delora's dress, but a bird? Is this why Delora insisted Annice deserves an apology? What happened after you were fired?
Lady Parfait found me on the streets. I couldn't go back to my aunt's house, not after what happened. She never liked me anyway.
Annice's face clouds briefly with sorrow, but the expression is short-lived.
I can never forget the day that I met Lady Parfait. I told her I would be able to help her, and anyone else that got sick. That I can even do all the cooking, since I've been making meals for my father since I was a young girl. I begged her to take me in, and so she did. I owe Lady Parfait a lot.
Why didn't you go back to your father after you were fired?
My father passed away a while ago. My mother died giving birth to me. My father was an herbalist, and he taught me a lot while he was still with me. So before Rumple came in, I helped Lady Parfait with herbal remedies.
So you have no one?
That's what I thought. But now I have everyone here. The Marchen is my family now.
Family.
Princess, we're all happy to have you here too. You really help out around the Marchen, and I can tell Rumple's happy to have you as a partner.
The memory of what happened today slowly seeps back into my mind. I cannot help the irritation bubbling up inside of me.
I know he's a little overwhelming, but I'm pretty sure Rumple's really just trying to help you, just like he's helping Lady Parfait.
It's not the same thing at all. The two of us continue working until Annice makes another wistful comment.
The place I worked before this? It felt like there was warmth in that gigantic home, but it was stifled.
That place isn't warm at all. I speak the words without even meaning to. Annice looks up at me curiously. The king suddenly started speaking to me when Mother died, but it was never enough. Before that he was cold and distant, and even now he favors his new wife and children over me. There were people, but they all wore fake smiles, and my father, he was the worst of all. I may as well have never existed to him.
Princess, I'm sorry.
For what?
You're talking about the palace, right? The king always seemed so nice.
He put his kingdom before his children. Annice fidgets nervously.
I'm sorry.
Apologies are not going to change the past.
Sometimes, apologizing seems like all we can do when we can't change something that's already happened.
I think about Annice, who tried to save my doll, and the way I fired her that day. Rumple told me once that all I had to do was listen to people to sympathize with them. Could that also be true for finding out the truth? All I can do to make up for her, for what I did to her, is apologize to Annice. I am sorry. Annice looks at me, clearly shocked. She stares for a few moments before I scowl at her. Staring is rude.
Oh, I was just... Why are you apologizing to me, Princess?
It is for something I did that you wouldn't remember.
That I wouldn't remember? You should tell me. I promise I wouldn't hold it against you.
It is not important. Annice's eyes are suddenly downcast, and no matter the attempt, her smile isn't as bright as it once was. I quickly finish stacking the bottles on the shelves. I am done. Annice turns to look at me with an unusually tired expression on her face.
Thank you for listening to me, Princess. And for telling me a little bit about yourself, too.
I feel like I might have said too much. I do not respond to Annice, but instead choose to head out of the front door. Annice asks where I am going, but I just ignore her. And I guess apologizing wasn't the right thing to do. Who knew? Anyways, I will be seeing you all in the next episode, so thank you all for watching, and bye-bye!